Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to the new campaign trail. Last time we were here together, we hopped into the glorious nation of Canada, where a Mr. Mark Carney pulled off one of the biggest political upsets in modern political history and led the Liberals from being wiped down the polls to having a massive majority. I don't know about massive, but you know what is massive? Low tape of... Anyway, I put a like goal on that video a while ago, that if we got 10 likes, we'd go ahead and check out the opposite side of this mod. At least the opposite side of at the time. With the Conservative Party of Canada. Since that video came out, the mod maker actually ended up dropping the update. Mr. R. Baldwin, or Mrs. R. Baldwin, or they are Baldwin, I'm not sure. And they have added the side of Mr. Jagmeet Singh. Now, I'll throw out a similar like goal. Well, let's step up the ante. This time, though, let's mix things up. If we get 11 likes on this video, I know I'm shooting big here. If we get 11 likes on this video, I'll hop in and play as the NDP. If not, I might go ahead and do something else. I might get that goal eventually. Recording a couple of these at a time. I'm about to go on a vacation, so I want to make sure we get all these blocked out and recorded, so I have some content to upload while I'm gone. Nice break from, I'd have an excuse to not have content, but not having an excuse actually makes me want to do something instead. It's weird how that works, isn't it? Anyway, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. I don't know. You might all be confused. You know who else is going to be confused by recent events? The Conservative Party of Canada. Formed as a merger between the Progressive Conservative Party and the Reform Party in 2003, the Conservative Party is the main party occupying the right wing of the Canadian political spectrum. After holding power for 9 years under the leadership of Stephen Harper, the Conservative Party has been relegated to official opposition for the last 9 years, the last 2 of which were under the leadership of Pierre Poilievre. As the 2025 election approaches, the Conservative Party holds a commanding lead in the polls. Can the party maintain its advantage on Election Day? Well, we're going to try to get it. We'll see there, though. Well, here's the man himself, Pierre Poilievre. Leader of the Conservative Party since 2022, Pierre Poilievre has a long history with the party. He became politically involved in the precursor Reform Party at the young age of 14. His involvement grew as he did, and he was elected as an MP in the 2004 election, only 25 years old. Since then, he's climbed in the party from backbencher to parliamentary secretary to cabinet minister, and finally to party leadership. Under his leadership, the Conservative Party has risen in the polls, gaining from both the Liberal Party on the left and the People's Party on the right. It would appear all but certain that Pierre Poilievre will be the next Prime Minister of Canada. Well, we know how that all turned out in real life, but let's see. It's looking quite good for us off the bat. That's beautiful, even. Look at all that blue. Ooh. Well, it's December 2024. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned, harshly criticizing Minister Trudeau. Trudeau is facing increasing pressure from within the own party. What is your main message to Canadians at the moment? Look, I will call for the immediate resignation of Prime Minister Trudeau and for fresh elections. We have a strong Conservative team that is ready to take on the many crises facing our country. The unity of your party stands in contrast to the chaos in the Liberal Party. Trudeau has announced his resignation as Prime Minister and prorogued Parliament, while the Liberals hold their leadership election. Mark Carney is among the Liberal leadership contenders. Now is your chance to define them to Canadians. What will be your main message? Well, Carney's just visiting. He was in the United States for many years as a banker of Goldman Sachs. Then he went off to England. He even called himself a European. He's not in it for you. This attack would be more effective if Carney hadn't spent a significant part of his career in Canada, from Deputy Finance Minister, Central Bank head to Chairman at Brookfield. Oh. Well, we'll see if we can undo some of that. January 2025. United States President Donald Trump has floated the idea of Canada becoming the 51st American state. What do you make of it? Canada will never be the 51st state, period. We are a great and independent country, and we are their best friend. This balance is being firm and diplomatic. There are suggestions from CSIS that China and India are interfering in Canadian politics. You have the option to gain top secret security clearance and be informed of these threats. Do you take it? Well, the Liberals are trying to muzzle me. As a condition of receiving these briefings, I would be gagged. I refuse to have my ability to speak freely be impeded, and will use that freedom to attack the Liberals for being beholden to China. The other party leaders have acquired security clearance, and they have also attacked Carney on national security issues, making many question whether the concerns over being gagged is the real reason for your refusal. Uh-oh. Check real quick on the achievements. We got Karn again. I had to redo and do Karn again, but that was alright. We're trying to get the majority. We'll see what ends up happening. We might end up getting sniped. It would be funny if we got sniped. Well, onwards we go. President Trump has announced 25% tariffs on all Canadian products, which he justifies by claiming Canadian border enforcement is allowing mass numbers of people to come in and fentanyl to come in. How do you respond? I'll take a Team Canada approach. Whatever our political differences, we must stand together against Trump's tariffs and threats to our sovereignty, whatever the cost. This satisfies many who are concerned about your willingness to stand up to Trump. March 2025. Mark Carney has won Liberal leadership and has been sworn as the 24th Prime Minister of Canada. He moves quickly to abolish the consumer carbon tax and reverse a recent increase in capital gains tax. The political landscape is being turned upside down, and some polls shows Liberals leading your Conservatives. Race is on. Let's bring it home. Yeah, it's looking a lot less good for us now. But we can turn things around. You've long been characterized as an attack dog by the media, with some saying this makes you unsuitable for governance. How will you handle your personal image? Well, I need to be seen as a statesman. I'll dial back my aggressive tone and let others tend to my opponents. This may broaden your appeal, but some people notice that you look a bit deflated. Well, the left-wing NDP, which previously supported the Trudeau government, is facing strong headwinds as Carney enters the race. How will he target them? I'll ignore the NDP. This election's between me and Carney. No harm, no foul. Yeah, they're all probably fucked anyway right now. Which one is... Where's Burnaby Central? Yeah, Trudeau's getting his ass... Or not Trudeau. Singh's getting his ass kicked in there right now. Prime Minister Carney announced a snap election for April 28th. As the campaign starts, what will be your main theme? I'll stand up to Trump. I stood up to Trudeau when he hurt Canadian jobs, and I'll stand up to Trump as he does the same. Meanwhile, Carney was helping Trudeau in moving his company's headquarters to Trump's America. Centering your opposition to Trump gets you some mainstream approval, but your base seems less energized. Well, slogans are an important part of any campaign, and you have plenty of them. What will you center as your primary slogan for this election? Common sense change. This makes sense to Minnesota or North Dakota, and I'm realizing. I'll emphasize the need for change, and that my proposals are common sense. This appeals to a wide range of voters. Well, where do we want to focus our resources at the beginning of this campaign? Let's do British Columbia. We have a good shot of gaining ground in places like Nanaimo and Surrey. Sure. There are several conservative provincial premiers across the country. Will you be seeking their support? Well, I'll do everything I can to win over Doug Ford, including giving him input on my campaign and public promises of financial support for major projects in Ontario. Doug Ford still declines to endorse, but he says some nice things about you and assures no one in his camp speaks out against you. Well, there we go. We're making a bit of a comeback right now. It's quite good, I think. How are we doing? We're not doing really well in Montreal, it seems. Which I'm not really surprised. Montreal's... Is this Montreal? Yeah, I think this is Montreal. Yeah, this is both Montreal. I got that confused. I think this is Quebec. Which we're making some decent games in. Quebec has a distinct French-Canadian identity and a significant representation in the House of Commons. What will be your approach towards Quebec? Speak of the devils. I will respect Quebec's right to defend its culture, and I will not intervene in any political provincial competencies without provincial buy-in. You avoid alienating Quebec voters, but you still face competition from Liberals and the Bloc Québécois. Well, what's going to be our approach to appearances during our campaign? Well, I'll go on any platform that'll have me, except right-wing alternative media outlets. I cannot feed the liberal narrative that I'm some sort of extremist. Alternative right-wing media feel slighted, and some in your base fear a pivot. Well, at a press event, a reporter asks you whether you respect Donald Trump. What do you say? Oh, not at all. We're talking about a man who's threatening the livelihoods of Canadians. I cannot respect that. You're standing up to Trump and Canada. Canadians cheer you on. This might complicate trade negotiations, however. Nearly 30% of Canadian workers are unionized. What will be your message on labor unions? Well, I'll win over the private sector unions to my side. I'll show up for them and bring home more training halls, direct grants, and faster EI to apprentices in licensed trades. Employment insurance, there we go. Many labor unions endorse your campaign and your fight for blue-collar workers. Beautiful. We're doing pretty well in the Toronto suburbs. Trying to catch up decently well. Mississauga. Pretty much ahead in most of these places in Alberta. I don't know if we'll win a Strathcona here, but who knows. Crime is on the mind of many voters. The murder rate has increased over the last decade. What's your approach to crime? After a decade of soft on crime, hug a thug, catch and release policies, we have crime raging out of control. I'll keep criminals locked up using the notwithstanding clause if necessary. I say 3 strikes and you're out. Serious repeat offenders are a danger to their communities and must be locked up. This is what your supporters want to hear. Well, healthcare is always a major issue in Canadian elections. What will be your message on healthcare? Look, I'll end the bureaucratic madness that's preventing foreign-trained and interprovincial doctors and nurses from practicing medicine. It's a mainstream policy that's also supported by Carney if you remove the incendiary language. Well, the number of people working from the federal government bureaucracy has surged in recent years. What will we say on the issue? The bureaucracy has grown so much because the Liberals keep adding frivolous programs. I'll streamline the government and eliminate unnecessary programs. To this, satisfies concerns that payroll cuts would hurt service levels. The beneficiaries of the program you are targeting remain worried. Well, do we have any plans for tax cuts? We need a massive patriotic tax cut. I will cut income tax by 15% for the average Canadian, dropping tax rate on low income tax brackets from 15% to 12.75%. This is what our supporters want to hear. There we go. Coming up on a majority. We just need about 4 more seats. Alright, we've targeted a Liberal government for the unaffordability of housing. What's our housing plan? Well, I'll get rid of gatekeepers that are preventing houses from being built. That means getting rid of a housing accelerator fund, cutting funding to cities that fail to increase building by 15% per year, and selling off public land. Using the savings from these measures, I will remove GST on new homes. These are concrete measures that draw support. However, some are concerned that your reforms will reward municipalities that have so far refused to build anything. Well, shut up, I don't know. What I do know is that immigration has hit record levels in recent years. How will we manage the immigration system? Well, our immigration system was the envy of the world before the liberals broke it. I'll fix the system and get us back to reasonable immigration levels. Concerns about immigration levels are fairly recent, and this meets people where they're at. Well, as you pass the midpoint of the election campaign, where will you focus your efforts? Well, how we do? I need to check. It's right on the edge. Well, I need to secure my own seat and seek to make some gains. Actually, no. Let's do Southwestern Ontario. Let's pick up some points in Windsor and London. Oil and gas is a major Canadian industry. What are our plans for Canadian oil? We need to balance expanding oil production with environmental responsibility. I'll take measures to reduce emissions in the oil sector and provide the world with clean oil. Supporters are shocked at your capitulation to the Green Lobby. Well, what the fuck do you want us to do? Try to win an election here. Looks like they didn't like that in Winnipeg. I don't know if they liked us in Winnipeg to begin with, though. What do you say to Indigenous communities that may oppose oil projects in their area? Well, I'll respect the rights of Indigenous people. I'll respect the duty to consult and work collaboratively with companies and First Nations to negotiate agreements where everyone wins. Indigenous people are satisfied with this, but oil producers war you will allow First Nations to hold them hostage. Abortion is a touchy issue within your party, with your MPs split roughly in half supporting pro-life or pro-choice views. How will you address it? Well, I will be clear. Conservative government will not introduce any legislation on abortion. I face criticism from both the Campaign Life Coalition and the Abortion Rights Coalition, but this might be your best option to avoid making it a bigger issue. Yeah, probably. The opioid crisis continues with the Canadian communities hard, with 1,000 deaths last year. How will you handle the crisis? I will end safe supply, impose harsh penalties for drug deals, and pursue compassionate intervention to get the addicts off drugs. This is what our supporters want to hear. Some say your campaign is having difficulty among women. What will be your message to win women over? Well, I'll work with provinces to expand medical coverage and include in vitro fertilization. Every woman should have the option to have children if she wants them. It's a concrete measure that prospective parents are glad you're on board with. Next up, the death toll in Gaza mounts as Israel continues its occupation. What's your opinion on the crisis? It's outrageous that the liberals have provided funding for the UN RWA, which is full of Hamas terrorists. I will defund them and lock up and deport all the anti-Semitic rioters who are bringing violence to our streets. I like here how you can call liberals hypocrites for supporting. I think that's immensely funny. The Jewish community is thankful for your support. Previously called for defunding of the CBC. Do you still hold that position? I will drop my calls to defund the CBC, but the radio network still needs reform. I'll make structural reforms to make it more responsible and impartial. This is a bit of a disappoint your base, but your new position is more palatable to the average Canadian. Palatable enough to get us some votes. Look at that. It's beautiful. Talk about reining in government spending. Will that include cuts to foreign aid? Liberals have either been too corrupt or grossly incompetent in their handling of foreign aid. I'll strip out their woke, wasteful programs while preserving aid that actually goes to people in need. Supporters cheer on your attacks on government waste. 2 official leaders' debates are held, one in French and one in English. What is your strategy going into the debates? Carney wants you to think he's an outsider, but he spent the last 5 years advising Trudeau on the economy, which is now weaker than ever before. He's making the exact same broken promises as Trudeau on home building, cannot afford a fourth Liberal term repeating the same failed policies. You keep tying Carney to Trudeau, and you come out a narrow winner of the debate. For the final week of campaigning, where will your focus be? To Mississauga. We will be well positioned if we can flip this part of the Greater Toronto area. Stephen Harper was the longest-serving Conservative Prime Minister since John A. Macdonald, appointing Mark Carney as Governor of the Bank of Canada. Worked with him throughout the Great Financial Crisis. Will he be seeking his endorsement? Well, I want to tie myself as closely to Harper as possible. I'll solicit his endorsement and appear at campaign events with him. I'll make it clear that Harper chooses me, not Carney. Harper accepts, and his support bolsters your campaign. Beautiful. It's 2 days before Election Day, and a deadly attack on a Filipino street vendor in Vancouver has left 11 dead and dozens injured. How do you react? Well, I will visit a Filipino church and can offer my condolences to the victims and their families. It's a standard non-political response to a tragedy like this. How are we doing off the bat? 183, not bad at all. We're even ahead in Carleton. It would have been funny if we weren't. Well, what's going to be our central message, Canadians? We need to put Canada first for a change. With a new Conservative government to tax taxes, reward work, unleash entrepreneurs, harvest our resources, make things here, secure our borders, rebuild our military, honor our history, and raise our flag. Let's bring it home. Broad positive message to close out on. Your supporters are energized and eager to vote. And here we go. Well, we got some Liberal victories in Charlottetown. Out in St. John. But we're coming in pretty well off the bat. 129 to 79, pretty good. A lot of good gains in the suburbs of Toronto, it looks like. And we won. We got a majority. Look at that. Interesting amount of support for the PPC in Quebec. Well, it's not any Conservatives there. That's interesting. Huh. Not like in Winnipeg, it seems. Well, this is a good day for Canada, and therefore the world. Keep an eye on this seat. I know in real life the NDP won this one, so I'm curious. You got a couple squeakers, potentially. I see one Liberal, narrowly. This seat narrowly went for the... Ooh, that's going to be a close one. Alright, well... Blue wave. Look at that. You did it! You'll be the 25th Prime Minister of Canada. Liberals threw everything they had at you. Switching their leader, copying your policies, and questioning your patriotism. But nothing could stop you. Your supporters are ecstatic that you were able to hold through and prevent a fourth Liberal term. Majority government will have a free hand over the next 4 years to sweep away Liberal mismanagement and make Canada the most free and prosperous country in the world. You can deliver your promises to axe taxes, build the home, stop the crime, and restore that Canadian promise. Also be responsible for negotiating a new trade deal with President Trump. Good luck with that. But for now, it's time to celebrate. With you at the helm, you can steer the government to finally put Canada first for a change. There we go. Let's look at these election charts. They just added these. That's a pretty respectable gain in the popular vote. The NDP is not too good. Bloc, People's Party. See bar chart. This is all very cool. I like this. I don't think this was here before. But this is interesting. I like this. Alright, let's look at the closest. Don Valley North. About 40 seats. This one, no, that's 80. Sauga barely won these. Last second visit probably was good. The NDP barely got this one. I think that's that one on Vancouver Island. Scarborough, also close, but not massively close compared to the rest of these. But you know what is massive? The share of the popular vote we got. And on that note, my friends, I am going to have to leave things there, but as always, I thank you for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to just leaving comments for feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I do appreciate any feedback you might have for me. And I'm kind of blanking out on the rest of the outro right now, so I'm just going to leave things there. But thanks for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.